IVM.
I want to thank Intel for supporting our show. We're all loving working from home, but let's be honest, there are complications. For example, getting help from IT folks if your PC is down can be challenging because you can't just walk up to them anymore. Well, you'll be happy to hear that I have a solution for you, the Intel vPro platform. The platform comes packed with Intel Active Management technology that lets your IT teams remotely manage your systems and fix the problems without having to go to them. So it means more time getting your work done and less time spent on getting support. Visit intel.in/morewithvpro, that's VPRO, to discover how you can do more of what you want and less of what you don't. If you're listening on the IVM Podcast Android app, click the link that's visible to you now.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach Podcast, the bite-sized podcast filled with quick and easy actionable habits. Remember, great habits create that awesome life. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach, and today's fun fact of the day has to do with Luxembourg. Did you know that Luxembourg has the highest per capita meat consumption of anywhere else in the world? One of the smallest countries in the world, yet the biggest meat eater. They eat on an average about 300 pounds of meat per person annually. And in comparison to America, which comes in at a close second, about 276 pounds per meat, and finally third Australia, about 267 pounds of meat. When we compare that to India, which is the lowest per capita meat eater in the world, now remember that the population size also makes a big difference in these averages. But as Indians, we just have 7 pounds of meat annually per person. Now compare that to 300 pounds from Luxembourg. And it is so interesting how across the world, food and cultures change and are so different from each other. The culture we live in and the culture we are brought up in make such a difference to our overall health. As the way people eat change, you can see a direct correlation to obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and other lifestyle illnesses. What is important is that our food rules as human beings, the rules that we have for eating, they say the same. And if you want to be healthy and fit, you have to eat in a particular way. If you want to give your body the right tools and the building blocks, the way you choose your food and the way you eat makes a big difference. Whether you choose to be a non-vegetarian or a vegetarian or a vegan or a paleo or a pegan, which is a paleo-vegan, or a pescatarian or an ovarian. Okay, the last one I made up. There's no such thing as an ovarian. But it's getting ridiculous, isn't it? Anyways, zero judgment, guys. You choose which lifestyle bases your beliefs. But there is one thing that links us all together. We are not getting enough of the healthy and essential building blocks of life. We're eating a lot of food, but not getting quality food and things that will help our body grow and become strong. Protein is one such nutrient that we are all deficient in. And the number one rule of thumb is 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per kg of body weight. So if you weigh 80 kgs, that's 120 grams of protein. And as your habit coach, I want to teach you a very simple habit that will change the way you eat and will get you more protein into your diet than ever before. And this is something that will be a little forced in the beginning, but will become a way of life, as habits often do. When we eat lunch or dinner, think about how you decide what to eat and how you serve yourself. Very often we serve ourselves the rice first, or we think about how many rotis, chapatis, slices of bread or naan we are going to eat, and then take an adequate amount of vegetables and proteins accordingly. The starchy carbohydrates are the governing factor here. The part of our food that has the least nutritional value, the least nutritional content, is what we decide to serve ourselves first. And then in return, it governs what else we will be eating and how much of everything else we will be eating. So we are actually doing this completely backwards. So instead, what I want you to do is plan your meals this way. First, decide on what your protein will be. Being a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian, it doesn't matter. Take a little bit more of what you would normally take and serve yourself protein first. After that, serve yourself the vegetables. And just like the protein, take a little bit more of the vegetables. Finally, serve yourself the starchy carbohydrates last. This way you will get very balanced nutritious meals. Like I mentioned at the start of the podcast, we're all going through a phase of not getting enough protein. And this one tip will help you increase your daily protein intake. And protein is not just for people who exercise and spend time in the gym. Our hair, our skin, our nails, our internal organs, and even our hormones are made up of proteins. So in order to function well, we need the right raw materials. So your super simple habit starts by just serving yourself the protein first, and then take a little more. Follow that up with vegetables, and finally the starchy carbohydrates like rice, roti, bread, potatoes, etc. We aren't in a competition to eat the most meat. That is not what we're talking about. That is irrelevant actually. But we are trying to get the most protein. So serve your protein first.
So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome180.
I hope you enjoyed that show. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Intel, for supporting us. Great week on the network. If you haven't been listening, why haven't you been listening? You should be listening. Rohan Joshi was on Uncle Please Sit, discussed the toxicity of the Indian pop culture. Really fun conversation to listen to. Rajiv Samant, the founder of Sula Wines, was on Cyrus Says. Again, I think that was a fun conversation. Also want to call out the season finale of Yuddha. Yuddha is our military history podcast. Definitely do check that out. It's a really great listen. And finally, I want to just remind you all that, it's a dark time, but if you need a smile, go check out the Smile India podcast by Shifa Mehta. It's in both English and Hindi, and I think that you will really enjoy the kinds of things that she's talking about there. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta. I'm B50 on Twitter. I am the host of Paisa Vaisa, the show that talks money. On my show, I speak to experts from every field of money and finance, from stock markets, equities, debt funds, credit cards, life insurance, every possible area of money and finance that you can think of. We even did an episode on cryptocurrency. I've got fantastic guests from mutual funds to personal finance experts everywhere. Robo-advisory, startups, just name it, we've got it. At Paisa Vaisa, we help you make smart decisions about money. You work hard for money. Now make your money work hard for you. New episodes out every Monday, and you can listen to my show on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you have.